French police conducted a major operation amid a 2-day-old nationwide manhunt for suspects in the Charlie Hebdo massacre. At least one hostage is being held in the downtown of the Martin and Goel. The hostage situation emerged after two suspects in a high-profile shooting spree in the Paris offices of the controversial satire magazine Charlie Hebdo were seen in the town, which is now in lockdown.
While the agenda for Obama and Peña Nieto at the White House was heavy on trade and immigration, neither one could avoid the issue of insecurity and crime that plagues Mexico.
Our commitment is to be a friend and supporter of Mexico in its efforts to eliminate and discourage violence of drug cartels.
Although President Obama asked that Mexican authorities take the lead on the country's security, here in Mexico, members of the leading opposition party expressed distrust owing to the United States' historic participation in the so-called drug war.
To offer support to our country on the matter of security is nothing more than continuing to invade in a meddling kind of way through plans such as the Merida Initiative.
Implemented in 2007, the Merida Initiative is a security cooperation agreement between both countries to combat organized crime. However, rights organizations say the effects of this continued strategy have been devastating for Mexico.
There's a grave crisis in human rights marked by 23,000 disappearances, and what Ayotzinapa and these numbers unmask is a crisis in violence that we live every day, and an inadequate security strategy.
Human rights experts say that without including a comprehensive human rights strategy into security, violence will only continue to rise, as well as the country's widespread social discontent. Clayton Khan, teleSUR, Mexico City.
Following a closed-door meeting held yesterday in Cartagena with the Colombian peace delegation, President Juan Manuel Santos stressed that the current military offensive against FARC might no longer be appropriate and a re-evaluation is advisable.
The progress made in the talks indicates that circumstances have changed and that the strategy is no longer advisable. We should move quicker towards a path of peace and away from the path of war.
Analyst Leon Valencia sees it as a positive sign that President Santos has suggested that his long-standing opposition to a bilateral ceasefire could have eased.
I think it's a good gesture by President Santos to protect the negotiations. It doesn't make any sense that the FARC declares a ceasefire while the government maintains the military offensive, which puts the peace process at risk.
President Santos also called on the National Liberation Army, known as ELN, to join a unilateral ceasefire. Analyst Luis Celis sees this move as a continuation of efforts to fully include the ELN into the peace process.
It is not possible to imagine an end to the armed conflict without including the ELN in the negotiations. It would lead us only to a partial peace.
President Santos has announced the swift return of the government delegation to Havana under the clear instructions of accelerating the negotiations so that a final peace accord can be reached as soon as possible. FARC leadership has also expressed their desire to finally end this long-standing conflict in 2015, bringing strong hope to peace in Colombia. From Bogota, Natalia Margarita, teleSUR.
Representatives of youth groups from all areas of Lima and from an array of affiliations have come together to hold a press conference in Congress. They are demanding that political leaders meet to vote to put an end to the infamous law that cuts labor rights for youth under 25 years of age by allowing pay cuts, reducing vacation days, and removing bonuses.
We make a call to all citizens in general and urge that a special session of Congress takes place. Today, there is a meeting of party spokespeople, and it is at this time this matter is discussed, and they listen to the general population that have been holding demonstrations and will continue to do so until this unjust law is repealed.
The law has lost the support of most political parties who claim that it is stripping away the labor rights of Peruvian people. It also gives permission to businesses to cut severance payments, life insurance, and occupational insurance for workers 24 years of age or younger.
The government is stubborn and insists on maintaining this erosion in rights because that is what the government wants to do, is to erode all labour rights. This is the beginning, to take the erosion of the working environment to the extreme, to make a regime without rights. That is why this battle of the youth is a battle for all the nation to defend the concept of dignified work.
Protesters are organizing themselves according to their neighborhoods, universities, cultural groups, party affiliations, and union memberships. Each group is mobilizing for a fourth protest on January 15 that is expected to see an even larger number of participants. Reporting from Lima, Peru for teleSUR, Rael Mora.
More than 60,000 Central American minors illegally entered the United States in 2014. And even though the presidents of Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador assured that they would create a regional strategy to decrease this number, few changes have been seen. Much of this is due to the poor social conditions of the countries, such as poverty and lack of job opportunities.
They are searching for work opportunities. This search is undertaken by youth who don't have the chance to develop their skills here in their countries or find any possibility of work. As a result, they have to look for work outside their country. The main cause for migration in Honduras continues to be poverty. Around 70% of homes in the nation are living in poverty.
Cerca del 70% de los hogares del país están en situación o en condición de pobreza.
For Guadalupe Ruelas of Casa Alianza, an international foundation that works helping children living on the streets. Central American children are at risk not only by the extremely high violent crime rates, but also by government policies which militarize the police force, and as a result has seen a rise in the number of children being killed by state forces.
Since the job of security was put in the hands of the military after the coup d'etat, the number of children under 23 years old who have been criminally executed has doubled up. It has gone from 43 boys and girls each month to 83. Violence against children has increased since the beginning of the militarization process, and that violence has effects which, in addition to the profound poverty and the lack of opportunities, is causing migration.
Even after the international press showed a spotlight on the thousands of children being detained in migratory centers in the United States, and the visit of Central American presidents to the White House, little has been done to attempt to rectify the situation. And it looks like it is a problem that could worsen this year with little changes in the social situations which forces migration. Gerardo Torres, teleSUR, Central America.
In Syria, there are an estimated 100,000 citizens of Armenian descent. This year, they are remembering the anniversary that cost so many lives. Marking the century of the Armenian genocide, a commemorative symbol was unveiled to remember the Armenian sacrifices. A memorial prayer was held in the Armenian cathedral to celebrate Christmas.
And our message in this centennial is to demand our rights, to demand our lost lives, but also to demand from the world community, but also from everyone, to recognize the Armenian genocide, to condemn that, so that it should not be done again.
While many Armenians are returning home due to the crisis engulfing Syria, others are staying and this year remembering the Armenian genocide that cost so many lives. And these people insist that they will stand with their second homeland in Syria despite the crisis. Nashwan Abdullah, teleSUR, Damascus, Syria.
Like many countries in the Eastern Caribbean, St. Lucia is facing a huge food imports bill. The government is hoping to reduce this annual $360 million figure and is hoping to do so by helping farmers to produce more. Emmanuel Augustin is an award-winning farmer. He says the goal is a good one, but farmers require incentives if they are to boost production figures. He says farmers continue to battle some of the same problems they did decades ago, including inadequate support to tackle problems such as pest management, rebuilding after storms, and the high cost of inputs.
What I'm saying is that we have to support one another. We, the farmers, need help from the government. We are working but not profiting.
The island's agriculture minister says the goal is to get farmers planting more.
The government of St. Lucia continues to focus on food and nutrition security as the main plank upon which we are going to develop agriculture, and there are a number of successes to report.
The Ministry of Agriculture has launched initiatives such as the Banana and Plantain Diversification Program, which places those two crops at the center of food security and regional export plans.
2014 may have been a bumper year for banana production in St. Lucia, but for those who toil on the land, many of the older challenges remain. From the farming community of Cooley Town in St. Lucia, Alison Kentish for teleSUR English.